everyone, it is Krissa again, and this time here with Pancake's house renovation. So when I play the Pancake's house and I play the family, they always end up with a set of twins after Iggy. So this is going to become a 5-bed, 3-bath house, as well as an attachment of an attic. I did move this lot. I moved it over to Brindleton Bay and gave some major updates to the roofing. So here you can see I just added a couple dormers in with those with the attic and extended it a little bit and was trying to figure out how much did I want the attic to extend the other way. Now, I'm not quite sure why whenever during the creation of this house, really honestly, I just ask why, period. To be honest, a lot of this makes very little sense to me, but that's me. I will say, usually I don't actually get rid of the furniture. I usually get rid of like very minimal furniture, and the rest of it actually gets put into that attic to make bills expensive. However, I did not end up doing that this time, and I'm sure I had a reason, but I'm actually not sure why. So here you can see I'm still working on the roofing a little bit. I decided to make it fit more since I just did go ahead and move it into Brindleton Bay. I went ahead and wanted it to fit a little bit better into that the aesthetic of the sort of Dutch colonial, and it doesn't quite fit, but it's closer at least. And I'm pleased with how it turned out. So here you see I'm adding 1 bedroom there, and I extend the deck. We also go ahead and get rid of all the landscaping because since they do have so many children, they're going to be a lot more family centric than they previously were. I used a lot of cats and dogs inside this build this time, simply because of the world that they're in this time. It makes more sense, I think, to go ahead and do that. So they got some new stairs and some new railings. And I believe at this point is when after going ahead and putting all the siding on, making sure all the siding fits, matches, looks good, and fixing the roof here on this side, which I ended up doing just a very simple kind of roof, where I went ahead and extended some of it, and it ended up looking very nice, to be honest with you. I was actually very surprised because I'm still learning roofing. I'm still learning roofing. It definitely did not quite match the style of the front of the house, but it didn't blatantly scream that it wasn't that style either. So I was content. I was content with that. So just finishing up some of the roofing here. It shouldn't take too much longer because there's not really any more roofing, I think, after that. I don't believe. Other than just fixing some of the other previous roofing details. And here I go ahead and I turned all the windows to black. And I refinished some of the windows, is what I call it. Took out some of the older windows and put a couple new ones in. My goal for this house was to modernize it a little bit, and I'm not sure if I quite hit the mark where I thought I would, but I do think it looks a little bit better. I like those big windows. I think they look very nice, and they bring in a lot of light, which was definitely the goal, because you have all that nice lighting up front, and I wanted to make sure to use that. Throwing some windows up on the dormers and just repainting those. And then at that point, I believe I added an extra window and I was trying to get it to line up properly. So I ended up moving the windows down a little bit that were already existing there, which is not my favorite thing to do, as I like to keep things pretty realistic. On that note, though, I did add a little bit of extra space here still, even more to the attic. Really more so just to make this space look better and better roofed and appear more natural. And it was a little bit of a process, to be honest with you. But as I had to go back and I had to readjust some things. Readjust the roofing, readjust a little bit of where things went and so forth. And then I start here. So I added an entryway. One of the things I really don't care about with this house, and got rid of all the arches as well, by the way. One thing I really don't care about with this house is just the simple fact that there is no bathroom downstairs. And then also that there's like really nowhere for them to have a drop zone. So they get a little bit of a drop zone. And as I'm recording this, I realized that I forgot to furnish one of the added rooms that I did. Not a bedroom, at least, but you'll see it later on in this video. So I know Bob and Eliza's lore of they don't have a very happy marriage. They're always struggling as a couple, and so mine they tend to go one of two ways. That they either work out very well and they don't have problems after the 3 children, or Eliza dips and Bob ends up full custody with the 3 kids, and normally he ends up being in the education career. Honestly, it's a little odd, but that's normally what ends up happening with him in that situation. So here you can see as I go through, I'm just replacing and redoing some different more updated looking arches, using a different door. And I get rid of the arches in there and turn that into a bathroom, actually, because I despise the fact that there is no downstairs bathroom in this house. For as big of a house as this is, it seems a little ridiculous. And just throwing some different paint on to the end of the rooms, and just kind of trying to fix it a little bit, see what kind of table I wanted, because there's such good lighting in this house now that it actually made it a little bit difficult to figure out what vibe did I want to give out, especially with the fact knowing that there's 3 high chairs to be had. So I just throw one of them in the corner, to be honest with you. But I ended up using those chairs from high school years, and I really like those chairs. I know they're supposed to look like cafeteria chairs, I guess, but I really enjoy them. I think they're very pretty, even though I guess they probably give off, massive cafeteria vibes, because that's what they're supposed to. And here you can see, as I'm trying to figure out some of the new floor plan, where I'm creating 2 extra bedrooms and the hallway and the route to the attic, as well as the room to the left, which was supposed to be a laundry room, but it is an empty room at the end of this video. So there's your 3 new bedrooms. And we just throw some railing, a new railing on that exposed stairway. That way no one trips and falls. Extend the bathroom a little bit and give one of the boys, because that's one of the boys' bedrooms, give him a nice little closet. And here I'm just trying to figure out what do I want to use for Eliza and Bob's bedroom wallpaper. And just kind of retiling and refinishing everything. I didn't have necessarily like a color scheme in mind for these until I put down some of the tile, and at that point I tried at least to make it somewhat similar. I didn't necessarily want it all to be the exact same, but I wanted it to be at least somewhat similar. And there we have, so the 2 twins that I have are Brandy and Brody. And Brandy, because of how I play my games in The Sims, actually ends up connected into the Pleasance. So I have a save file where I've recreated some of the Sims 2 characters and some of their lives, and I play it as a prequel up to where you get to be the Sims at Sims 2. And so Brandy is actually from the Pancake House in this save. Here I am actually creating double his and hers walk-in closets for Bob and for Eliza. I had a little bit of trouble with this just at first, trying to figure out the color palettes and trying to decide if I wanted the rooms separated or not. I also am playing vanilla at the moment due to the new update, so a lot of the mods that I do have, I don't have in the house, in the game right now. I mean, technically it's in the house, but so a lot of the things that I have, like I have mods that make the walls, even if the walls are down, the dressers still stay up, and I don't have that mod on me right now, so therefore a lot of the stuff that I was trying to put up, I was finding it finicky, and was trying to work around it. So it ended up okay at the very end. Bob is on the left and Eliza's on the right. I bounced around whether to put a rug in both rooms or not, and I eventually just decided it was not worth it. And went through a couple ideas of different wallpapers before I just decided it would just need to match whatever was inside the bedroom itself. So there I'm putting in some new closets. The closets for Iggy and the closet for Brody. Unfortunately, Brandy does not get one. I'm sure that'll be something that I correct in a later year, so to speak. I use a lot of packs in this. I always want to try to use different things, try and branch out at least a little bit. And this is one of those really hard spaces kind of to fill because it's just so there. It's, like to me, this layout of this room is it's just not good no matter what you do. And I'd bounced around possibly having the fireplace over there in the corner and having just the TV until I realized the fireplace that I had chosen, as this land tends to be really rainy, at least in my saves, that the fireplace I had chosen could actually have the TV on top of it because some of them can and some of them you can't. I had debated, there's me putting the bathroom door. I had debated at one point of what to do with that little corner of the room downstairs. It went through several different versions before I finally found one that I actually liked and thought I could live with. I'm just throwing some lighting up here, trying to make something have some semblance of sense at least. I don't tend to use sconces, shockingly. They're just not my favorite thing. I don't think a lot of them are really pretty. I find them very glary. So I just don't use them. However, I end up needing to use them. And then I realized also I like to have doors that match, and I realized that I needed new doors, mostly somewhat because of the attic space, which I ended up moving the ladder one more time, and then that door there becomes the door into the attic space. But those nice prairie doors that they have, they just had to be removed. We're gonna say that Eliza said, "Oh, these are outdated," and they just had to go. So here I am, just trying to find some sense of style. I try to mix and match a little bit where I can, because the living room was just so very dreary with the darker color of the paint that I chose. I wanted to give it that little pop of color with the green, and it ended up working very well. So occasionally I had bounced around a couple things of what to do with this little corner of room, where some of it I thought about making into an office, although it really wasn't quite big enough for that as far as I was concerned. I tried that a couple times. I thought about just simply having it be like an extra guest bedroom, just a very small one, and realized in my head that really wasn't going to work. So I said, well, why don't we just make it into like an art room, just a little section of the room. And we've got that little pop of pink that doesn't quite match anything else really, but I think there's some pink in those couches a little bit, or I might be wrong. but it works out well enough. The gray and the pink go pretty well together. I really struggled with curtains in this room, y'all. I mean, I really was just trying so hard to make some of these pretty curtains work, and they did not want to work at all. And when I did finally find some that I kind of thought I could tolerate, I had a lot of trouble placing them and figuring out what colors did I want and getting them to actually click into space the way that they're supposed to. I ended up eventually nixing those ones that are tied in the middle, because as much as I really liked that effect, it wasn't doing it for me. I don't know what it was with this third window that it did not want to do that at all, but it refused to work for me. So I got rid of them eventually. And this was me really I was trying so hard to make them work. And some of them, the curtains just were being glitchy today, because some of the curtains would move and then sometimes they wouldn't move. But I eventually just kind of honestly just said, you know what, okay, fine. Because as a homeowner, I would look at it, and about the third time I had to mess with it, said, you know what, you can be wherever you want to be on this wall. I'm done. So that's what we're calling that. We're going to say Bob and Liza got fed up, because I don't blame them. Here you can see I'm working on that downstairs bathroom. I really struggled whether to make it into a full or a half bath. And I eventually decided to go ahead and make it a full bath, because there are so many Sims now in this house, and when everyone gets older, it's going to be harder to just deal, really. Unless you have just a massive amount of bathrooms. So it's very simple. It's very it's a little touch of elegance, at least. I tried. But it definitely is probably not winning any awards for the prettiest bathroom, but it is there at least. And honestly, bathrooms functional is definitely what we would want over anything else for the most part, I think. Here I'm just placing some decorations here. I did struggle a little bit with how I wanted the towels, and what towels I even wanted, because the towels I was going to use, I believe, ended up being CC, because they're definitely not in the game right now, which was actually slightly disappointing. Just threw a medicine cabinet up there, and then I went ahead and redid the upstairs bathroom. That's the children's bathroom. This is also where I really missed my CC, because I've got a lot of child-centric bath stuff that I really wanted to use and really wanted to just utilize here, and I could not do it. So I'm placing a clawfoot tub, and I didn't do very much originally in this bathroom. There wasn't really a giant need. They got some new cabinets. If you really think of it as far as their renovation goes, they retiled everything from floor to ceiling. Well, not ceiling. I don't do the ceilings. And they introduced a new color scheme, and they put in a new bathtub, and they put in a new shower, and they put in a new toilet. So when it comes to it, like, they've done plenty in this bathroom. It just feels like they didn't really do much, because it's all kind of stayed the same as far as the same layout goes. I did, however, end up doing something that's fairly unrealistic and fairly unusual for me, because I do like my realistic-ish builds, where I did end up going and, after I tried to find a color scheme for these mats, at least, where you'll see in just a little bit where I switch there I go, switching the sinks, and the open countertop space, and it's not something I think I've ever really done before, and I don't also know if I've ever actually seen someone do this in a house. But I wanted to do it, and so we did it, and it's fine. It looks just fine. Here I'm realizing that you probably would want a light in your attic, and so now we have a light that goes up to your attic space so that you can see. This is me. At this point, I wanted to go ahead and finish up the bathrooms, so we're doing Eliza and Bob's bath now. I tried to keep things mostly in the same space. I did end up moving where the sink goes And I actually justified this in my head because the space right behind them, that's the little doors that I never get around to decorating, is supposed to be their laundry room. And so they would already have to put plumbing there. And I said, well, if they're already putting plumbing there, then they would probably just as well knock out that wall and put in some extra plumbing here to extend, um, just so that they could go ahead and have um, that the sinks where they wanted them. So there is at least a reasoning to it. And then I ended up actually adding in these gray um, cabinets. Well, not cabinets, but countertops. And I really thought they were actually very pretty. Um, so they've got a nice little double vanity sink and then double spaces off to the side for each of them. And gave them a nice double mirror that I really like that mirror. I think it's one of the prettier ones that we have for the double mirror spaces. And then just throw a hamper in there so they will accumulate laundry and they're not going to have anywhere to do it. But I threw a couple just very bland decorations on there. I tried to make everything just kind of white, kind of not quite monotone, but just very similar in color, because I don't have any of the flashy like recolors that I was used to, that I forget how much CC I actually have until I can't play with it. And then I'm like, oh, was that CC? I guess it was CC. Oh, well, okay. Surprises me all the time. Surprises all of us, in fact, I think. Um, my inability to use Alt and move things really got to me in this game. I don't know if it's just a new thing, because I was trying to Alt drag several times that you'll see in the video, and it would not operate. It would not cooperate. It would not let me do it. But we worked with it and it ended up fine. Things are a little spaced out, but honestly, if you have massive amounts of space, you probably would spread out a little bit more. So now you can see I'm over here redoing the kitchen. The kitchen got a total overhaul. The only things that stayed were the stove and the fridge, because I feel like unless you absolutely had to, you would not touch those. Because those are big items to spend and to fix and to get new ones of. So I used the new countertops and the new cabinets from Home Hustle, I think, Cook Hustle, the new one where we got a bunch of I think it's Home Cook Hustle, isn't it, y'all? Where we have a whole bunch of new cooking supplies and a new way to make a living for just short order cook stuff, I believe. So here I am trying to figure out where I wanted that silly little dishwasher to be. And it's such a cute little dishwasher too. Um, so I have a very big headcanon, especially because of how many children that these two have, that they just love coffee. They love artisan coffee. Yeah, they're all about the coffee. They're definitely one of the ones who have the lifestyle coffee. Uh, the Adores Addicted to Coffee Lifestyle, I think that's what it's called. That one. So over here they have a coffee bar cleaning off some of their countertops. So proud of them. It's got to be so hard to do whenever you have children, to keep things clean like this. I just switched up some flooring in here. Went ahead and completed the outside. I think this is now when I move actually to the outside and give them a nice little outdoor cooking area, in which I really want to say that I believe that Bob, even though he doesn't really ever realize his dream of being a master chef, that he ends up just cooking all the time for the family. He just loves it. Doesn't couldn't imagine doing it anywhere else. Couldn't imagine anyone else feeding his babies. And so they've got this really nice, ended up with this really nice outdoor area, and I really wanted that to click in there, but it would not scoot over a little bit more like I wanted it to. So that just pops out, and it's, you know what, it's fine, because sometimes I think furniture just kind of does that. At least in my house, we definitely have to work around and kind of our path of motion could definitely be better for sure. So I'm just over here trying to finish up that very little porch area where, it's got some chairs, and trying to make sure that everything else was pretty much done except for um, the bedroom areas. And I went through a couple different placements for where I wanted their bed to be, because their room still ends up really, really big, like needlessly big. But I knew that I wanted that color scheme kind of the cream and the blue to still be very much present. So I moved some stuff around, and I got rid of the big light. And instead of using the big light, I just placed a bunch of little small lights, which worked very well, as a matter of fact, in my opinion. I kept things kind of a light cream um, and a blue color, and then I ended up actually making a little reading nook where this room, it somewhat bugs me because it's not the most well lit room in existence, and I love rooms that are really well lit, but they ended up really pretty. Here I was just going through a couple different styles for what I wanted the chairs to be and where I wanted the bookcase to be, and things like that just ended up getting moved. And actually, honestly, moving that light where I did really helped with the lighting of the room. And now I was honestly just over here trying to find different rugs for each bedroom. And especially I wanted one over there in the little reading corner. And poor Eliza's little workout machine just got massively moved upstairs. I can't imagine how much of a pain that would have been to probably take apart piece by piece, and up the ladder it went. But up the ladder it went. I gave them just a little coffee table here. Again, keeping with that same color, and just a little stereo, just a couple little things. I went ahead and tied in some of the blue from the blue of the pillows of their bed, Bob and Liza's bed, and that ended up actually working very well. And I wanted to make sure I at least had one little infant thing here, mostly so I don't forget to put in the correct family when I go and move this house. So now I'm really just finishing up the nurseries. They've got two separate ones, Brody in blue and Brandy in pink. Just trying to make sure that I have room for all the necessaries for the infants, the changing tables and the diaper trays, and all those little details. I didn't really do any decorations, honestly, just because that's one of those things I feel like really you would probably want to do afterward. Like later, the older they get, kind of thing, and get their own personalities is what I really like to do. At least when I make my builds. So you can see that there's a couple things here that surfaced from the earlier house, but that is it for the inside. And now we go here to the outside, where we become very family centric in our outdoor furniture and all of our equipment. And we have a nice big fenced in yard that comes in. And I put in a jungle gym and moved around the trash can a little bit. It took a little bit of finagling for me to figure out where I wanted it, because I wanted to have a fence out there too. And so it took a minute to figure out what fence did I want. And I really wish that wood tone matched, but it does not, so it is what it is. Here you can see I'm putting in a couple little toddler things just to make sure that, as Iggy grows into a child, that Brandy and Brody aren't left behind, and putting in a pool. I got rid of some of the stone landscaping, that terrain tool that was already there, and then I fixed, I put faux concrete, I guess you could say, basically around the pool, and then fixed the remaining terrain paint where there wasn't very much definition to it. So I gave them a little kind of overgrown stone pathway, I guess you could say. And here I'm just kind of correcting a couple of the couple of those things and adding on some outdoor lights, because I realized at this point I had forgotten completely about having outdoor lighting, especially if that area of cooking is somewhere that they are going to be all the time. It's somewhere that you would absolutely want to be really well lit. So I did use sconces, even though, like I said, I think they're very glary. However, they didn't end up being too bad looking. And I kind of actually quite liked them, even though the one that I thought should have gone on the side did not actually want to go on the side. Just touched up that one little spot that I realized I'd forgotten to actually fill in with siding. And adding a little bit of outdoor seating. And then there you have it. That is the pancake house, everyone. Just giving a little quick little overview of all the different changes and how it looked. And I believe that is it. I'm adding a little bit of outdoor landscaping just so it's not quite so plain. But barring that, that is the end of the video, y'all. I hope that you really enjoyed this renovation. It was quite an undertaking. The pancake house always is such an undertaking, no matter what you do to it, I find. But I did really enjoy this build. I liked that it kind of got me branching out and delved into some of the lore. Um, and here I'll just leave you with a nice little overview, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day. Bye.